with our fathers, like, never, ever did I ever show any emotion, or my dad showed emotion to me like that growing up. It was a sign of weakness. It always was. And it's that toxic masculinity that I hate now.
Welcome to Separate Bathrooms. My name's Daddo.
I'm Daddo.
And you're excited.
I'm excited. I'm nervous.
Why?
We have a super duper professional radio person in the room with us. Like super duper.
Yeah, and then we have her husband.
Thanks, Cam.
Well said. Oh, I love that.
Okay, we're gonna mute them because they're actually not supposed to be in the bathroom yet. Clearly, there's an echo in there. You might have recognised the laugh. We feel really privileged to have them with us today. They don't do much press, hence we don't know much about them as a couple.
Mm-hmm. Originally from South Australia, debuted in 2000 for the Swans, there's a few clues, was traded to Adelaide Crows and finished up in 2002 with an ACL-related injury. This gorgeous man, now I didn't write gorgeous, my husband wrote gorgeous.
I did.
I love that. This gorgeous man can be heard on Sydney radio weekdays for Brekkie. We've seen him pop up in all manner of TV shows for the past 20 years. And he's always been the genuine article.
Seriously genuine article. His wife has been called a local vigilante. Not scared of making citizen arrests. She's a stunner. She's a good sport for joining us here today. We're going to get to know her better. Actually, we're going to get to know both of them better. Please welcome to the bathroom Ryan James Fitzgerald and his wife, BJ, Belinda.
Oh,
Hello, thank you.
What an intro. Actually, I should get some advice from you guys with intros because that was magnificent. Thank you very much. We're excited. This started with a conversation, Cam.
It did.
We were at lunch about a month ago.
We were, and you said to me, you said, how's your podcast going? And I said, it's great. We'd love to come on, I think were your words. And I'm like, done.
Oh, yeah. I know
Done.
you came home very excited.
I did.
Yeah, totally.
Well, but see, can I just say this? The reason why that we're on here, it's not because of you, Cam, it's because of your wife. And I went to Belinda straight away and I said, Cam and Elle want us to go on the podcast. And she was like, oh my God, I loved Alison Brahe so much when I was younger. And I was like, oh, just so did I. I had posters of her up on the wall. I said, let's just do it with Elle. No.
I'll leave now.
Yeah. You're too young to remember me, BJ. How did you manage that?
You were in front of my Dolly magazines and everything. I still remember.
so
Massive
sweet.
idol.
That's so sweet. Look, we don't know much about you, but we hang on. I see what you've written. But we do know beside every great man is a woman. So
A greater woman, because they make the man great. That's the idea, honey. That's what I was going for.
Yeah, I gosh. Had to read that correctly. So, first question that we always ask our couples, how did you two meet?
Do you want me to You want me to start?
No, I want BJ, because you've already spoken for 3 minutes. I want to hear BJ.
Belinda, you go.
Yeah.
Let me just get my years together. So I reckon it's about 2004. Working with Virgin Blue up in Brisbane, my ultimate job that I've always wanted.
What was it?
Flight attendant with Virgin Blue, so that was great. Finished training with a group of, majority of the group was from Adelaide. So we were all training in Brisbane. And right at the end, Virgin Blue had a birthday party. And we were like, oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing. We'll see all these new people. And funny enough, some of the girls from the training group said, oh, there's a bunch of Adelaide boys coming up for the party. Do you mind if you kind of meet with them so we can hang together as an Adelaide crew? And I was like, yeah. And funny enough, it was a Hawaiian dress up. So all good. Anyway, this random tall, lanky guy wearing a suit that was like cut off to the, it
was an op shop
shins.
Mid-wrist.
We-
It was a
it was
mid-wrist
three-quarter
one.
length.
We arrived
And a
from
Hawaiian
Adelaide,
shirt.
went straight to an op shop from the airport because we didn't have anything. So we dropped it and we looked horrible. We didn't have anywhere to stay. We slept in our cars that night.
the airport.
Was this Adelaide footballs or Adelaide mates?
No, this was mates that I grew up with.
Oh, right.
That worked for Virgin in Adelaide.
Exactly, yeah. So that's how I got an invite,
That's
yeah.
how we it's funny how everything sort of connects. Anyway, couldn't shake him off all night. I did the whole, I'll be back, and went, and I don't think I saw him for the rest of the night.
No, there was this moment where I looked, because I said to the boys, this is the night Belinda irons, right? Because when I first saw Belinda was at a nightclub in Adelaide, and I went, I'm going to marry that girl. I knew straight away it was love at first sight, Alison. And then we had
not a couple of bourbons down.
Yeah. We had mutual friends, and I said to them, I've got to meet this girl. They said, she's going to this party.
That's right.
So we organised flights. We were going up to this party up in Brisbane. It was going to be huge. So this was the big night. But I got so nervous, we wrote ourselves off.
Yeah.
And I remember this moment where Belinda was with all her friends, and there's all these beautiful flight attendants. And I've gone, this is my moment, waiting for her to look at me. And I'm swaying side to side. She looks up. She looks at me. She said something to the girls. They all laughed. And I just walked off.
Oh, I know. I think, and that was it. And then, funny enough, we just kept on like bumping into each other. Like he was always on my flight. We got stuck in Adelaide Airport once when there was a security breach, and we got stuck in this room together. Yeah. And then
I think Fitzy organised that security breach.
I was setting up every one of them. No,
send a few knives through the security.
Right.
You had a boyfriend at the time as well.
And that, yes, I was totally in love, hitched with this bloke that gave me nothing, and then we were at the big day out, and I just broke up with my partner. I was shattered, and all my Adelaide friends from Queensland were like, let's go to the Adelaide big day out. And I was like, I'm not up for it. And then I was like, stuff it, I'm going to go. And then funny enough, I just kept on bumping into him.
Yeah. We're in Boiler Room watching Chemical Brothers. There might have been a few chemicals going through the body at the time as well. And we just clicked. That day, there's a photo we have. I don't know if you've got it on your phone.
Nah.
There's a photo that we have where she said, we've got to get a photo together. And I sort of kissed her on the side, and that was the first photo we ever had together. And I thought from that moment, I thought, that's it, I've got her.
So what was that time?
So
what was that
great.
time frame from that Adelaide party when you said? And do you remember what you said to your friends when he was walking up to?
No, I feel like I was like, who is this guy? That's just because he's quite obviously tall and he stands out. And to be honest, he wasn't my sort of type. And I was like, I don't do footy players. I don't do tall, big guys, But that was about 6-7 months, because big day out was normally in January and the party was July or something. And then, funny enough, we all shook off, and then my friends are like, jump into a car, let's go to this after party. I was like, oh, where is it? And then anyway, rock up, and no joke, he was sitting on the couch. And I was like, you got to be joking. Oh, no, I don't want to say that. You're going to be joking me. And then he was a bit like, I'm not leaving here without your number. And then my girlfriends put it into his phone.
So Alison, that was 16 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And it's still in my phone as that. So BJ too hottie.
That's what my girlfriends put it in as.
BJ too hottie. And that's still in my phone.
And it's still true to this day.
Still true to this day.
And I think the rest was just,
What's my number in your phone as?
Well, it was my hot boyfriend, and then it turned into my hot husband.
Love it.
But I had to put that in myself.
Yeah.
You typed it in.
Thanks to him.
So Fitzy knew from the beginning. When did it click for you that you went,
yes, actually, that's a good question, because it took a while, especially because I was in a relationship and I was a bit heartbroken, and I was like, I don't want a boyfriend ever again, and all this stuff. And I was quite honest with him with all that. And then obviously being in Brisbane and he was in Adelaide at the time, we really didn't see much of each other. And then he was coming up for Friday night downloads for Big Brother.
Can I tell him a great story? The first time we ever kissed.
Oh, gosh.
So she'd just gone a bad breakup. She was suspecting that he was cheating. She got evidence that he was, and she was really upset. And we were really good friends, and I would go up there all the time. But I got asked to host the Desperate and Dateless Ball at Dreamworld on the Gold Coast, right? And cheesy event. And I've said to BJ, look, I've got to come up here and work. And she goes, oh, well, what are you doing? I said, I've got to do this desperate and dateless ball. And she said, can I bring like 7 of my girlfriends that are flight attendants? And I said, yeah, I'll get you tickets. Sweet, no worries. So we're at the desperate and dateless ball. And at the end of it, we had a great night. And I said, look, I'll drop you back at your apartment building where all the virgin girls, I'm not joking, on weekends, there would be blokes down the bottom of this apartment building waiting for flight attendants to come out.
Oh, my God.
That's where they all stay.
Just calling out Rapunzel.
And then, there was this moment where I said, look, I'll come up for a coffee. And there was this moment where she was really upset with her previous relationship. And I don't know how it happened, but I fell off a couch or I fell off your bed and we landed on the ground and we just looked into each other's eyes and we just started kissing and then that was it. And we were boyfriend and girlfriend from then.
So great.
But just getting back to that question, I think because he would always fly in and out, and I do remember one day I was saying goodbye to him, and I was like, bye, 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 and then I was like, love you, and I was like, oh. I was like, oh my gosh, that just came out, and we both just sort of froze and looked at each other. And I remember I went home and I was saying to my girlfriends, oh my gosh, I just think I said I loved him to him. And they're like, that's great. That means it's just come out because it's just, you know.
You didn't even think about it.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
to
a
be
beautiful
honest,
story, honey.
To be honest, my love for Ryan grew from there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
and still growing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Strong.
Gorgeous.
You're lucky you backed it up with that. Thank you.
All right. So popping the question, tell us that story.
So we'd been going out for 2 years, always knew I wanted to marry her and I wanted to make it special. So we never went ring shopping. I always believe that I don't think the man should pick the ring. How do we know what you guys want? So I had the idea of buying a vending machine plastic ring that cost me 20 cents. Put that in, got the plastic, and I put it into a box. We did a wine tour down in the Barossa Valley in South Australia, and I set up at a winery, the Cabminier winery, and I said, look, at the end of the day, do you mind if I can I'll have you upstairs, I come up with all these ideas. And then, anyway, we're on this wine tour. It was 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I said to BJ, there's one more winery I want to see. She said, it's 5 o'clock, it's closed.
On a Saturday.
I said, it's Cabminier. It's amazing. You got to try these wines. She goes, no, it's 5. They're closed. I'm done. We've had too much wine. Let's go back to the hotel. Oh, so I had to drag her there, right? And
angry.
she's like, oh, I just want to go home. Anyway, we got in there and it was all set up. The guy said, well, why don't you guys go upstairs? We've got some art up there. We went upstairs and there was a table in the middle with candles, flowers, just right in the middle of the room. And she still had no idea.
Right, because she was so
She's
pissed.
going,
She was so drunk. She was so mad at you. And you're pissed. She was literally pissed squared.
I was thinking, like, they're setting up for like a dinner or something. Like,
We're not even supposed to be here.
Oh my gosh, we're not buying art now.
I know. And then she's like, then still didn't click on. I said, no, honey, this is for you. And she's going, oh, this is for my birthday. It's 3 months away. I'm going, oh my gosh. I said, no, honey, this is serious. They served us a meal, beautiful wine, and that's when I got down on one knee. I got a bit emotional.
Got down on one knee, I knew it was serious.
Yeah.
There was a few tears, and then we rang everybody after that. That was a good night.
It was a lovely little setting.
And you opened the box and went, you've given me a plastic ring.
Well, it was very cute. It had like these little magnetic things so you could swap them over for different colours.
Have you still got that ring?
Yeah. Well, funny enough, and I need to correct him, he bought it from like this junk jewellery shop on the Gold Coast with your mum, remember? Yeah. And I think one of the magnetic things came out and I was devo. I was like, oh my gosh, it means a lot. I was actually wearing it as well.
Yeah.
And I Googled the place he got it. I rang him up. I said, oh, look, it's this ring. She's like, yeah, we've got one. I said, oh, could you send it to Adelaide? She's like, it's a $3 ring. It's going to be like $15. And I'm like, send it. And she's like, okay. So,
but see, I think the other reason as well, it's not a bad idea leaving. If you leave, you trust your future wife, then she needs to choose the ring then the discussion is how much money they spend on the ring. We've done this on radio before.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good responsibility to leave with them.
Yeah.
Just to see what they would pick, Alison.
Good indication, yeah.
You go, oh, you really want to be in this
Well,
section
bad
of
luck
the
if you ask
jewelry
me to
store?
marry us.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go to the Cartier store. Not this one in the mall.
I don't think there was one of them in Adelaide,
Is
unfortunately.
there any cubic zirconias in there? Because I don't know about this section.
Anyone heard of Swarovski?
That's a La Vista. Is that
The cheaper one.
cheap one?
Yeah.
It's true because we went shopping for my engagement ring together, and I found it really challenging actually because I just was like, oh, it doesn't matter, just get the one single little wee diamond, and you were encouraging, no, we can go bigger,
Yeah.
That was really quite challenging to do that.
It is a big. It's a big responsibility.
It's kind of the big first test of the relationship almost in a way. Is like, how much is this bitch gonna hook me up for?
And then Ryan used to work at a jewellery store. That was his first job.
Did you
he's
really?
Go and see Clark.
So I did I wanted to be a travel agent when I was younger. I did a course for that at Pride's Business College in Adelaide. And the reason why I picked them is because everyone got jobs at the end of it. And I got a phone call going, we got a job for you. And I went, awesome. And they went, yeah, we know that you're struggling a bit in your family. We got you a job at a jewellery store. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. And I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was trying to sell diamond rings and Seiko watches, and I had no idea what I was doing. And John Clark, lovely bloke, I was with them for about 6 months before I said I've got to leave. But he's looked after me ever since.
Yeah.
Whenever we've got jewellery,
He's
he
lovely.
always looks after me.
isn't that
Ryan
great?
pops in
Yeah.
and
Isn't
Isn't that
sees
great?
it,
So I imagine you relate to that scene which Kristen,
From Bridesmaids.
Bridesmaids, Kristen
Kristen
Bell.
Kristen Wiig
that's
is
right.
a jewelry
Yes.
person in that thing, and she's telling people, don't get married, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah, no, he was very helpful actually, John Clark the jeweller.
So you were playing AFL through this time.
No, this was I met BJ at the end of my career. So
Right.
we actually met in like 2002,
Yeah.
and then this
that's
was
right,
before
sorry.
Big Brother, right?
Yeah.
So she met me then, and she was in a relationship, and we hadn't seen each other for a while.
Did you know who he was in terms of footy or Big Brother or
my
things like that?
girlfriends that I did the training with, they all knew him because they grew down south in the same area. So they were like, oh, he plays footy, he does this. I grew up with horses and jet skis and water skis and stuff.
In Adelaide as well, in South Australia.
Footy
Yeah.
was never on the cards. So when they
Wow,
were like, "Oh, he played for this," I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." Like I didn't really know.
Right.
But
Are your folks footy? I mean, I imagine your dad's
no water ski.
water ski.
Water
Not,
ski,
not,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Amazing water skiers, like
Yeah.
barefoot, jumping, like they're crazy. The whole
Yeah,
family.
the whole family. He was one of 7, so all the boys. There was one girl in there, and she was into horses. The rest were skiers. On the Murray River. Yeah,
Hey, amazing.
yeah, it's cool. So that's where I did a lot of my childhood.
Yeah, yeah.
So footy, yeah.
So
Yeah.
that wasn't a thing. It wasn't like,
wasn't a
he's
thing.
well,
Yeah.
like you said, I don't do footy players.
I
It was actually
never-
your words. I don't
yeah,
do footy
yeah,
players.
Well, I did. Well, not that I was classing it, but I never sort of was in that circle. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And are you still working now?
Not at the moment, no.
Yeah.
I stopped when we moved here, which was meant to be for 3 years.
When you moved to Sydney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was 11 years ago.
11 years ago, right.
We were very lucky to be in the position where I said to BJ, because we'd had Huey, our first child, and he was very young when we moved to Sydney.
Yeah.
And then I said, well, honey, look, do you want to work or would you like to stay at home? Because we were going to have another child. We always knew that. And we were lucky to be in that position to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was nervous about coming to Sydney from Adelaide was BJ didn't know anyone. I was going to be working so much. I was worried that she didn't have any friends or support here, but she made friends so quickly and loved the area. We moved into Balmain and we love Balmain so much, and you found friends really quickly.
Yeah, found a great group of girls purely through school and
as you
swimming
do.
lessons and things like that.
Yeah.
And we're still tight as, so
That's
it's really
great.
good. And a lot of them don't have family in Sydney, so we all kind of seem to,
Yeah.
support each other in that way, which is really good.
Have you got plans to move back ever to South Australia, or are you?
We would, as we get older, we yearn for that quiet life a little bit more.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong. We adore
love
Sydney.
Sydney.
We love it, and we will never. We were lucky enough to buy a house here around about 8 years ago, and we'll always keep that because BJ and I always say, you know, Adelaide is where the heart is, and we want to go back to family and friends.
Yeah.
We haven't had that support for 11 years. So we would love to go back to Adelaide, but, you know, when the boys move out of home one day, Alison, we would love to come back to Sydney, just us two, and go and explore New South Wales more, Australia more, but also, just to come back here and always have that. And, you know, like, you know, I always think as well that if we keep the house, imagine if the boys are in Adelaide and you're 18 years of age and you can just pop over to Sydney and just hang out in Balmain for the weekend. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Brian Brown, the actor.
he was there.
Well, I know he's a Balmain, you know, Roselle and loves all that.
Birch
He was my neighbour. They had a house up at Whale Beach, and when I first moved from Melbourne up to Sydney, I ended up in the old Tracks publishing house at Whale Beach, and they lived 2 doors along. And I used to talk to them a fair bit, and their kids were always at the bus stop and things. And Brian, I don't know if it was back then or it was in Los Angeles, you know, 20 years later. But Brian, I asked him about you know, advice about a bunch of different things. But one of the things he said to me, never sell.
Yes.
Never sell. So he still, as far as I know, he still owns his mum and dad's house.
Amazing.
He owns every house that he's ever lived in.
Yeah.
And so he's the Sultan of Brunei, you know, with all this real estate.
Smart.
So,
Well, you pass
I
it
mean,
then down
why
onto
would
the
you
kids.
sell a house in Balmain ever if you can afford to have it? You know, pay the rates and stuff.
Yeah, no, we're really excited about that. But we would like to get the boys out. I mean, and the boys are getting older now. The longer that they're entrenched here, the more friendships that they make. And we know how hard that would be to get them out. So
Well, how old are the boys now?
12 and 9.
Yeah.
So they're getting older. Look, Huey's in year 7 now. Like, I mean, if he gets to year 10 or 11, I think it's really hard to pull him out.
Yeah, it
So
is.
we need to talk about that, you know, pretty quickly and try to come up with a decision. But we would love to go back.
I have to bring up this video that I saw of the three of you. It was Huey's first day of high school.
Oh, I know.
And you gave him the card.
No.
And I started crying
Oh, no.
as I'm watching this little boy just start to read and not be able to read. And then, of course, it pans to you, BJ, and I can hear it in your voice. And it was such a beautiful thing. And I'm so glad that you posted it because it was such a beautiful, intimate family moment. But is that something that you really encourage with your boys, is that it was very heart-driven and open, and I just love that. Is that something that you really have in your family?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we love to, you know, express our emotions and let them do the same, especially Huey. He's going into those teenage years and things like that. He does have more emotions than Lenny. So, we're all about it.
It was a tough one because I started taping that thinking that it was going to be, he was going to read it and he was going to have a smile on his face. And I thought this would be a great moment just to play back down the track. But when I saw him starting to cry and you could hear my voice and I knew BJ would be in the back seat. And then I had the video and, you know, he said goodbye. We were all in tears and we went home that day and I went to work and I thought, I'm not going to post it. I need his permission. I'm not just going to post it. So then when I picked him up from school that day, I said, mate, it's a beautiful video. I want you to watch it of you showing emotion. And I said, would you mind if Daddy posted it? And he paused for a bit and I thought he's going to say no because it's his first day of school as well.
And a new school as well. No, he doesn't know anyone.
So, you know, the other thing as well, and he told me the next day, and you know what, this is school, but, you know, there were kids that saw it at school and he got ribbed a bit for it. Okay. And you know what I mean? But there were I had so many parents coming up to me going, thank you for posting, that was great. But he said, no, I understand, Dad. And no, he said it was a beautiful moment. And he said, yeah, you're fine to post it. And I was like, oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. But I wanted to get his permission first. But yeah, I'm so glad that he let us do that. And you can show emotion because, Cam, you would know with our fathers, like, never, ever did I ever show any emotion or my dad showed emotion to me like that growing up. It was a sign of weakness. It always was. And it's that toxic masculinity that I hate now. I look back and I've actually spoken to my old man about this and I said, it was really shit that we had to go through that. And my pop was even worse, you know, like it was...
Yeah, so what was your dad's response to that?
I wrote a letter to Dad. I did a thing for the Ray's organisation called Letters to My Mentor. And they said, can you write a letter to your mentor? And I said, well, my mentor's my dad. And I said, but you know what? I've never told him.
Yeah.
And I said, actually, I think this is a great thing to do. Be very therapeutic. So I wrote it. And then as I'm reading it, I just broke down.
Yeah.
Like I broke down. Because I said, you know what? You taught me everything, but I've never told you how much that's meant to me. But see, it was during the pandemic and Mum, so I had to send it over and I said, Mum, can you show it to Dad? I wasn't there for him to see it. Didn't hear anything back for 2 days. I'm going, all right, well, it's a bit hard for Dad. And Mum goes, no, he's still watching it after 2 days and he breaks down every time he watches it.
That's gorgeous.
And Dad said to me, he said, thank you so much because there's this barrier that we had as father and child.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm just too pig-headed to do anything about it, but you've now broken that wall down and we can talk about it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a really emotional time. I said, it is shit that, a lot of, we generation to generation, it was from tough to tough. And, now we don't have to do that anymore. Show your emotions and talk about it.
Yeah.
We've run out of time this week, but we've decided we're going to have a two-parter because there is so much more
Yeah.
with Fitzy and BJ.
Indeed.
We love unpacking their life.
Absolutely.
And they've been so generous. So keep your eyes on the feed and we'll be back with part 2 of Fitzy and BJ.